We said that the word for child was kind, and the word for children was
Kinder.
Kinder. So we're adding this ER to get the plural, and also that D is softening again, becoming like a D again rather than a T, because it's not at the end of the syllable anymore. It's starting a new syllable, Kinder, rather than Kind. So we saw two uses of this ER ending in German, one to make a word plural, and then the other to give the meaning of more, like in late, more late, or later, no, spät, später. Well, actually, it's doing the same thing in both cases. Kind, child, Kinder, more child, children, spät, late, später, more late, later. Another way of making nouns plural is by adding an E. What was the word for dog?
Hund.
Hund. And the dog?
Der Hund.
Der Hund, masculine. The dogs is die Hunde.
Die Hunde.
And we notice also that the D is soft again, because it's not on the end of the syllable like in der Hund. Die Hunde. So we add an E, and we get the plural, die Hunde. Plural nouns, whatever gender they were in the beginning, they are all going to take D, just like sie means they, irrespective of gender. So this D doesn't mean that Hund is becoming feminine. No, this is the plural D. Die Hunde, the dogs. How would you say my dogs?
Meine Hunde.
Meine Hunde. So again, this meine is for plural. How would you say my dog is here?
Mein Hund ist hier.
Good. Mein Hund ist hier. My dogs are here.
Meine Hunde sind hier.
Good, but Hunde?
Hunde.
Hunde. Good, because now the D is starting a syllable. Hunde. Meine Hunde sind hier. So sometimes you'll come across a word in German and you won't know if it's feminine or plural. Because of course we've seen how this E on the end can be both feminine, as in die Bluse, and plural, as in die Hunde. So you will have to look at the context around the word and figure out for yourself whether you are looking at a plural noun or a feminine noun. For example, cat is Katze, Katze.
Katze.
K-A-T-Z-E, cat, Katze.
Katze.
So die Katze, if you were to come across die Katze, as far as you know, could be the cats or the cat. It could be the cats, or it could be the cat as a feminine word. If you don't know the word, you're not going to know that when you come across it. So you want to look around at the context to figure out whether you are looking at a feminine word or a plural. Or if you learn the word from a dictionary, for example, you want to learn it as a singular word and with the gender. Learn it with the word for the in the singular. This way, when you have to use the noun, when you have to do something with it, you're not asking yourself for the first time, oh, what gender is this word? So die Katze is a singular word and it's feminine. So we saw the ER plural that often we'll have to add an umlaut for. For example, the word is das Wort. Das Wort. W-O-R-T. And we make this word plural with the ER ending. We said that for many neuter short words of one syllable, this will be our plural ending. So we see das Wort, this is neuter, little short word, we can suspect that it will become plural with ER. How might that sound? The words. This is actually spelt with a T, so you won't soften it.
Die Wörter.
When you add that ER onto Wort, the O takes an umlaut. So to find the sound, what word do we look at in English to find the sound of the O with the two dots over it?
Word.
Good, good. So now give me the plural of Wort.
Die Wörter.
Die Wörter. It's actually the same vowel not only as what we have in bird, but also as what we have in word in English. And this will happen often. You will find some version of the German word that really sounds like the English one, and then we will understand where the English sounding word might have come from, what version of German it might come from. Word sounds like Wörter, the same vowel, word, bird, Wörter. Another example of how you might be able to identify where the English word came from is the plural of man. Man also becomes plural with ER. Give it a try. The men.
Die Männer.
But the umlaut?
Männer.
Die Männer. Good. You added those 2 dots on the A and you got die Männer, which of course sounds much more like men. No? In English we have man and men. And then we can think, oh, okay, maybe that's where men came from. You will find many connections like this in German, and it will really aid your memory. So we've seen the ER plural. We also saw the E plural. We had Hund for dog, and dogs is
Hunde.
Hunde. The addition of this E can also add an umlaut. So for example, the hand is die Hand. Die Hand. The hands.
Die Hände.
Good. Die Hände. We add the umlaut here. Die Wurst. Can you guess what that means? Die Wurst.
The sausage.
Yes, if you think of how it's spelled, you have a W. W-U-R-S-T. No, die Wurst. And when we make this plural with an E, it will also add an umlaut. So how would this sound?
Würste.
Good. Die Würste. The ambiguity that we mentioned of having the E for feminine and the E for plural will often be cleared up for you by this umlaut. So if you find Würste somewhere and you're not sure by the context whether it's feminine or whether it's plural, that umlaut there, those 2 dots above the vowel, can make you suspect at least that it's plural. So we've seen how the addition of E can also occasion the addition of an umlaut, and we need to bear that in mind, listen out for it, and also know that it doesn't always happen. For example, the year is das Jahr, that's spelled J-A-H-R, and that H just stretches out that vowel, das Jahr. The years, we will add an E to get this plural, but we won't add an umlaut. So how would that sound, the years?
J-A-A-H.
We'll just work on the sound. Jahr.
Die Jahre.
Ah. Die Jahre. So we won't always add an umlaut. You will notice patterns and we will mention them about when you do and when you don't, but mostly it's a thing about listening and noticing when you hear it happen. You might also have noticed that E is not very fussy about the gender of the word it's used for. We said that ER is usually with short neuter words, but E we've just seen with das Jahr, so das Jahr is neuter, then with die Wurst, which is feminine, also die Hand, also feminine, and der Hund, masculine, becoming die Hunde. So the E plural ending is not very fussy about what gender it goes with. Another important way of making plurals in German is by adding en, or just n, if we are already finishing with a vowel sound. This doesn't add umlaut, so we don't have to worry about adding the 2 dots when we add our en or our n. So we saw die Katze, we can't add an e onto die Katze, we already have an e on there. We saw that the er is usually for just short neuter words, so this would lead us to the conclusion that the plural here must be with an n. So how would you say the cats?
Die Katzen.
Die Katzen. My cats.
Meine Katzen.
Meine Katzen. And we mentioned that if it ends in a vowel sound, you will just add an n rather than an en. So die Katze, die Katzen, the cat, the cats. But this refers to vowel sound rather than a vowel. Die Frau, the woman, is spelled F-R-A-U. It ends in a vowel, but it doesn't really end in a vowel sound. Die Frau. It ends in a W. Die Frau. So to say the women, you will add en. So we're working with sound here. If it ends in a consonant sound, we want to add en.
Die Frauen.
Die Frauen. The word for neighbor was Nachbar. Der Nachbar. This is spelled N-A-C-H-B-A-R. It ends in a consonant. Doesn't sound like a consonant though. Sounds like an A, no? Nachbar. So in this case, you will just add an N, as if you were adding it on to a vowel. The neighbors.
Die Nachbarn.
Die Nachbarn. So, Katzen, cats, Frauen, women, Nachbarn, neighbors, might look like verbs, no? Ending there in en or n. German has a way to get around this in the writing. In spoken language, we tend to worry about ambiguity much less. We have much more context in spoken language. But in the written language, German tries to avoid any ambiguity that might arise here by writing nouns in capitals. Nouns are capitalized in German.